Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Nostalgic Gamers Club. My name is Zach, and this is the show where I just look at nostalgic stuff that I like, and I share it with you, because I figure if I look at my old game collection and think, man, I miss those days, or I miss this cover art, or whatever, someone else out there probably does too. I just want to say up front, there's no clickbait here. There's no, I played every Zelda game in order and ranked them. It's nothing like that. This is literally just a chance for me to look through some of my old gaming collection and honestly just to share it with you guys, because I just really love this stuff. And for any of you who are just listening, don't worry, I'm going to be describing everything in some pretty, I almost said explicit detail. It's not going to be explicit. So as you can see in front of you, we have the Kmart exclusive version of The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, only for Nintendo GameCube, as we see up there. This version I thought was super fun because it says right here, there's a little circle on the front that shows the player's guide inside of it, and it says, bonus, The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker player's guide with the purchase of this game, and that's through Nintendo Power there. I'm sure that I had this guide at some point. In fact, I know I did. I don't know where it's at right now. But right out of the gate, I wanted to point out something about this cover art that I find really interesting, which is the King of Red Lions here in the background is shaded in a non-cell shaded manner. I mean, you can see like kind of remnants of his cell shading here on the side, but he's shaded as though it's just an actual 3D model. So I don't know why they made that choice, especially when in the background here you can see it's Toon Link and the King of Red Lions in their cell shading forms. That's just a really interesting art choice, in my opinion. Also, a huge throwback because Kmart's not even around anymore. Right there, that's enough nostalgia to get you going. So, flipping it to the backside here, we have up here at the top, it's one player, takes up 12 blocks on the memory card, is Game Boy Advance compatible, which, if I'm remembering correctly, that was to use like the Tingle tuner and figure out where things were, which it does explain over here a little bit what that does, but we'll get to that in a second. And it is progressive scan compatible. So we're just going to kind of go through piece by piece here. Right at the very top, it says, an evil wind is rising. We have a picture here of Link sailing on the ocean blue. It says, immerse yourself in a world... Oh, that's dirty. Hold on. My case is so dirty. That's gross. Immerse yourself in a world unlike anything you've ever seen as you sail across a vast, unexplored ocean. Right underneath that, we have the Game Boy Advance call out here. It's a picture of Link holding an item in front of a treasure chest. So we got a couple of little scully boys on the ground here. I guess for what it's worth, if anybody cares, he's got 153 rupees in this picture down here. It says, connect to a pal's Game Boy Advance and play cooperatively. Get hints, uncover secrets, and get help in a... I thought that said help in a bottle. I can't read. And get help in battle. Before we get to this main paragraph, I'm going to get to the rest of these images. So kind of the main hero image here in the middle is from the boss fight with Goma. Link ain't doing so hot in this one. He's only got one heart, but hey, he's got 200 rupees, so do with that what you will. And he's using the grappling hook in this image, as you can kind of see there, locked onto Goma's big flashing eyeball. It says, use new items like the grappling hook and Deku Leaf to take the fight to spectacular, massive bosses. And I think that claim is very true. This game in particular had a lot of really, really large bosses. And I think that was a stage that was partially set from Ocarina of Time, when you would have like Bongo Bongo or, Volvagia, these huge bosses. They kind of took that to the next level. I mean, you have the fight with Goma, and there's the fight with Godan. Puppet Ganon is gigantic. I mean, the list goes on. In the upper right here, it shows Link actually using the Wind Waker, and it says, master a magical conductor's baton known as the Wind Waker to control the wind and much more. And then down here in the lower right, we have a little bit of a fight sequence, and it says, take on hordes of incredibly animated enemies as you search through riddle-filled dungeons. And now to the main text, right here, smack dab in the center of the back of this case. It says, legend has it that whenever evil has appeared, a hero named Link has risen to defeat it. That legend continues on the surface of a great and mysterious sea as Link sets off on his most epic and awe-inspiring adventure yet. Aided by a magical conductor's baton called the Wind Waker, he will face unimaginable monsters, explore puzzling dungeons, and meet a cast of unforgettable characters as he searches for his kidnapped sister. What a game this is. I just so specifically remember with the Wind Waker, there was some controversy around it, right? Because people were expecting this kind of like dark, brooding game to come after Ocarina of Time. And instead, they got this. They got Toon Link. And when this came out, it was in 2003. I was about to be turning 13 when this came out, just for reference here. And I liked it. I liked the cartoony graphics. I thought that it looked great. It's pretty widely agreed upon now that this is a fantastic game and that the art direction is great. I think one thing that this game has going for it that, as huge of a Zelda fan as I am, I think a lot of the other Zelda games don't have going for it, is the fact that the art direction is so strong and so precise. And it has such a distinct look that even if you're not playing Wind Waker HD, you're still getting this incredible looking artistic game because the art direction was so strong and so precise. So in North America, this game came out on March 24th, 2003. It had been out for a little bit in Japan before that. It came out on December 13th, 2002 in Japan. This game won all kinds of awards, as many Zelda games do. And it took place in this flooded Hyrule. If you've never played The Wind Waker, I highly recommend it. Even if you're not playing the HD version, if you can get your hands on a GameCube copy, it's still great. There were a few things with this game that I think did not age well. And even at the time, I remember thinking this isn't the best. The end game is a little slow. You have to collect a bunch of pieces of the Triforce, and that takes forever. If you're not playing the HD version, which came out for Wii U, the sailing is a little bit slow. It takes a while to get from point A to point B. In the HD version, they introduced the quick sail, which you can win at an auction, and that speeds up the game a lot. And while it is fun to sail through the ocean, I also think that that's one of the more boring parts after a while. They do give you some fun things to do. So while you're sailing through the ocean, you might see some barrels with some rupees on top. You might encounter a couple monsters or some pirates. And the map is divided up into grids, which we're going to be talking about here in a couple minutes. But on each of those grids, there was always something to do. There was a way to update your map. So they kept it interesting. But by the time you're on hour 20 of sailing, it got a little bit old. Personally, that's the only gripe that I have with this game. This is one of my favorite Zelda games. It's up there as one of my favorite games, period. So with that, let's take a look inside at the instruction manual. And of course, the disc itself, which I think looks so freaking cool. I mean, just take a look at that. Take a look at that. Does that bring you back? It should. I just love this kind of gold-plated look. It was something that not a lot of games were really doing. A lot of these GameCube games didn't have a lot of visual interest on the disc itself. But again, I mean, it's a Zelda game, so I feel like Nintendo always put a little bit more effort into those games, making them feel a little bit more polished. Oh, look, you get my little headphone cord is sneaking into the shot there. Get out of there, headphone cord. You don't belong here. So I got a few booklets here, so I'm not going to take too long on each of these. I'm going to try to not be long-winded here. First, just take a look at that freaking artwork. That is some of the coolest look at. The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker is one of my favorite games because of the artwork. I can't drive that home enough. The art direction was so flippin' cool. I'm not an artist, but anytime that I attempt to draw or sketch, usually I end up sketching something from the Wind Waker. That's how much I love its art style. So we'll kind of jump through here to the start of this instruction booklet. So it says, the legend continues. And there's a little synopsis here of what's going on in the game. I'll let you guys, if you want to pause there and kind of read over some of these. And I think this is cool over here. It says, overheard in Windfall Cafe. Even in my wildest dreams, I never could have imagined what happened to us. See, it all started when our leader, Miss Tetra, got kidnapped by a gigantic bird. And it's literally just the pirates recounting what happened to Tetra. I think that's it's just so freaking charming. We have our explanation of the controls as well as a little diagram here. So in the bottom right, it's saying, you swing your sword and you can use your spin attack by swirling plus B, or you can briefly hold B and release to do that spin attack. And this guide really does take you through everything you could possibly need in this. We have getting started, so starting the game, viewing the game screen, where it just walks you through all of the different elements on the HUD. Talks a little bit here on the next page about the items, the quest status screen. And it says right here, don't you dare pull that memory card out of the GameCube while it's saving, otherwise Mr. Rossetti from Animal Crossing is going to break into your home and fucking break your legs. I was afraid of Mr. Rossetti. And this was cool too. So they had two different types of L targeting. So you could do hold or switch. And at this time, hold and switch targeting, from my memory, was not very popular. It was pretty much, hey, we're deciding for you. So the fact that they gave you the option there was it was pretty slick. This game was a lot more complex than Ocarina of Time. So to me, that makes sense why there is such an in-depth guide. This was a bit before the time of games being complex by default. And I'm saying that as a blanket statement, right? There were some games, I remember playing Command and Conquer back on my PC, and that game was pretty complex. But as far as Nintendo games, specifically as far as Zelda games went, they weren't very complex. So they explain to you here about the sea charts and different dungeon maps and what the different items and symbols mean on these screens. They have a whole section here for Link's actions because the control scheme here was so much more advanced. We have things like horizontal swinging, vertical slash, thrust, spin attack, jump attack. You can do a rolling attack, a sidestep, a backflip, and you could do some of those in Ocarina of Time, right? Like, this wasn't totally new. And there was a great little tutorial section here where you're fighting this bro. And he even says here, come to my place on Outset Island. I will pass on to you a very special sword technique not listed here. And if I'm being honest, I don't remember what that is offhand. The next page here is action items and other actions. That's mostly just traversal, getting around the world. I thought this was cool, but I also thought it was a little spoiler heavy because when you're playing through a Zelda game, at least for me, part of the fun is all of the items you discover along the way. I even remember when Tears of the Kingdom came out, I stayed away from the internet for a while because I wanted to discover everything on my own. And on here you see, I mean, they just pretty much tell you, not every item, but most of the main items that you're going to get, including the Tingle tuner. You got to connect a Game Boy Advance to use this item to call everyone's favorite map maker Tingle. Tingle is a weirdo. Okay, we need to talk about Tingle one day. Today's not the day. You got your different item bags, including the bait bag, which I always thought was kind of cute. It looked like a little piggy. We got Beetle down here saying, if you find my shop, please come in. That's how I imagine him talking. If you find my shop, please come in. I've got a very special membership card just for you. That's my Beetle impression. Tell your friends. Next up is Link's boat, a.k.a. the King of Red Lions, which, spoiler alert, I guess, is the King of Hyrule. If you haven't played this game, I mean, it's 20 years old, so I feel like I don't need to tell you spoilers there. It says here you can use your crane to haul up treasure. So once you get the grappling hook, you can use it on your boat to, exactly what it says, pull up treasure. And that was always super fun because you would just be sailing through. And again, this was one of those things where as you're going through this massive ocean map, you'd find these little glowing areas that are just, wow, you know, they got like yellow glowing auras coming up from the bottom of the sea. You drop your hook there and sometimes you find treasure, sometimes you don't. They do talk here about how to use the Wind Waker itself. This was really interesting. So obviously Ocarina of Time had a lot of musical motifs. You played an ocarina to do basically everything in the game. This also had a lot of musical motifs, but they took it one step further by setting the rhythm and the time signature. So you can be playing in 3/4, 4/4, or 6/4 time. And then from there, you would just use the C stick to actually conduct the song itself. They do have a little section here on the Tingle tuner. That was something that me and my friends didn't really use a lot. I just remember it didn't really give us that many extra things. It just wasn't worth all of the setup that you kind of had to go through to make that work. But it does say here on the next page what Tingle can do in cooperative play. Use items. So when an exclamation point appears on the Game Boy Advance screen, you press A to see what it is, which can get into secret areas that Link can't reach. You can check the map. And it does say here, you know, it's okay to turn off the Game Boy Advance while you're playing. When Link leaves a room, Tingle follows him. And while you're using the Game Boy Advance, it will consume battery power, so be sure to turn it off when you no longer need Tingle after you're finished playing. And then there's our instructions on how to hook up the Game Boy. There's like 6 pages dedicated to the Game Boy Advance here. And this was cool too. So there's a little clues section back here. So it's just questions. I won't go over all these, but it just questions like, what if I can't figure out how to solve a puzzle? Does L targeting offer anything particularly good? My hearts run out too quickly. Just something cool that they didn't need to offer, but they did. And then we just have some copyright information here on the back. Let's go on to the next piece. That's just a precautions booklet. We don't need to read that. We have this little booklet here. Ahoy, matey. Shiver me timbers. The pros at Nintendo Power Magazine have all the gaming strategy you need to avoid walking the plank. Subscribe now and receive a free gift. Gift free with paid subscription, it says. And this, I mean, guys, like talk about your trip down memory lane here. Fend off the foes with Nintendo Power. So you could get the magazine. You could get a free t-shirt, adult size medium. I want that t-shirt. And of course, the player's guide. And it says here, taken to the brink by Link, tried everything, but God, it rhymes. Why are they writing this in prose? Taken to the brink by Link, tried everything but the kitchen sink. Well, don't think, getting the pink, what? Don't think, get in the pink with a subscription to Nintendo Power. I don't know why they rhymed all those, and I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. This is a family-friendly show. Kind of. I guess I do swear sometimes. The pros at Nintendo Power have all the tips, hints, strategies, secrets, and full color maps that you need to send evil packing. From breaking hardware news to extensive software reviews, Nintendo Power has everything you need to become the best gamer in the land. I can't get over this first sentence. I want someone to like throw a beat behind it. Taken to the brink by Link, tried everything but the kitchen sink. Well, don't think, get the pink with subscription. That is so odd. That is so odd. Can you tell I didn't read this beforehand? I like being surprised by this stuff when I read this through with you guys. And then, of course, we got the cool stained glass with Link. I'm disturbed. And then last but certainly not least here, we have Team Up with Tingle. So this is basically just those sections of the guidebook that are talking about how to use the Tingle tuner and why to use the Tingle tuner. It was just a cool way to get your buddies involved. I think beyond just having a friend playing Wind Waker with you, there wasn't really that much added benefit. Like, you don't need all those little secrets. You'll get by. You can beat the game just fine without the Tingle tuner. We did use it. We didn't use it a lot. It was kind of cumbersome to set up. I mean, as you can see here, there's a lot that goes into it for not a lot gained. Especially, right now we're in an era of Amiibo, where if you want to get some extra secrets, you just, tap that thing to your controller and bada bing, bada boom, you have Epona. All right, guys. So with that, that's wrapping up this week's episode of the Nostalgic Gamers Club. And I hope this took you on a little trip down memory lane, because I sure did. And if you guys have any games that you want to see me unbox, if I have it, I will do it in the next video. Just leave a comment below and let me know. If you like this video, please consider subscribing. That would mean a lot to me. And if you didn't like this video, I'm sure you'll let me know in the comments. You always do. But I really appreciate you guys watching regardless, and I hope you guys have a great day. And if you get a chance, I just got to say, it has been so much fun to just dig into these old games. So if you get a chance, go just poke through your old game collection and just sift through them, man. I mean, they're so much fun. So much fun to do. Anyway, I'm rambling. With that, I will see you guys next week. Peace.